Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Healing Conversations. My name is Einav Avni. I use the emotion code, body code, and belief code to help people suffering from chronic pain, chronic illnesses, or unexplained medical conditions to heal or reduce their symptoms. This podcast helps me to spread the message of natural alternative healing. Here with me today, we have Denise Cambiotti. Denise, so lovely to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great.
Let's get started and tell us something about you.
Oh, you want one of those little secrets that I like to leave the clinic early in the summer and go put my feet on the grass and read a book before dinner? I call it my golden hour and it keeps me sane.
That sounds awesome.
I love it.
That's really great. But let's get to know a little bit you before we find the secrets.
Okay. Well, I'm absolutely passionate about helping people identify a solution to whatever condition they come in. My clinic, I'm a generalist. People come because they've been everywhere, nothing's helping.
Mm.
And what I help them do is unlock pathways so that any future work will take. Hopefully, some of the past work just goes bloop, like dominoes and gets to finally the time, money, and energy that they've spent, the resources finally manifest and they get solutions. And I don't say it's me doing it. It's I'm a facilitator for identifying the part that's stuck with the part that knows how to fix things. And that's the underpinning part of anything I do. I've got training in hundreds, like thousands of hours of training. Um, I've been in my clinic since the year 2000, and I call that my practice because that's where you really figure things out, see what works for one, what doesn't work for the other. And I've truly developed a great respect for the inner wisdom of the body because you get 30 people with headache and you will not have the same solution for probably two of them. Everybody is so unique. And that's why I'm passionate about talking to people about the solutions I offer and the trainings that I put on.
Mm. And that sounds incredible, and exactly what so many people need, right? Especially, as you say, the people that tried everything, they've been everywhere. They really open the mind and try and find the right practitioner or the right kind of help, and then they find you. So how does it start? How do they know to find you, and how do you approach helping them to get better?
Basically, my clinic is all run on word of mouth advertising. I don't do any paid advertising. In the early days, when we used to have magazines and healing um, um, centered type things, I would get all kinds of creepy people showing up, like really creepy people. So it just started small and people would just refer my name. And the interesting thing is, people will go, I wish I came when you were recommended 5 or 6 years ago. And they wait that long when they're really stuck before they finally show up. Excuse me. And nowadays, in the world of the internet, I just put myself out there on Facebook and LinkedIn and teeny bit on Instagram. And I don't find it as satisfying as meeting people face to face and say, can I show you what I do? Can I give you an experience? And doing a little demonstration, and people's eyeballs go, I've done this for everyday Joes. I've done this to physiotherapists. I go, I work with reflexes. And they go, yeah. I went, no, 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 not the kind of reflexes you're trained in. I know for a fact there are different reflexes. And they go, and then when I identify an area of their body, they go, how could you have known that was out of balance? I fell off a horse. I was telling you about my arm, but I also hurt my leg and you didn't. How did you know to go fix my leg? Anyway, your body told me.
And
And it
that's
also told me what to do. And their eyeballs go like this, going, this is like, what magic is this? And so those demonstrations get people's attentions far better than anything online. Sorry. And then I talk to nice people like you.
But I actually want to know. So someone comes through the door or on the internet. How do you start? How do you recognize what needs attention? Where do you take it? Where do you start?
Okay, so my primary tool is muscle testing. And there are many styles of muscle testing. And there's some people that learn a party trick, like hold the cigarette and hold your arm up. And if you can't hold your arm up, then that cigarette's bad for you. Same
Right.
thing for apples or tomatoes. It's more complex than that. It's because that's really in the level of like a party trick. But I use muscle testing and I assess people from head to foot. And the term muscle testing is the wrong term. We're actually testing the energy of the body. And in Canada, we are now calling it bioenergetics. So we're doing bioenergetic assessments, facilitating bioenergetic, it's all about the energy of the body. And truly, when a muscle cannot hold there, when you are thinking of something in your mind that's stressing you, or you're holding something that causes your actual physical body stress, your arm will release. It has nothing to do with muscle strength. It has to do with how the nervous system is interfacing in the brainstem and sending signals through the body. And it cannot think of the stress and hold your arm or your leg up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes, wait a minute, that's a little bit too complicated. Like the joke, you can't walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not integrated, it's very easy to find where your issues are.
Yeah, I mean, I use muscle testing in my work as well, and with all of the codes that I've mentioned, and I'm doing it by myself. So sometimes people say if you go face to face, they will, the practitioner will ask you to raise your hand, and they will test it on you. They will try and put some pressure on you, and then this is how they will define or determine if it's a yes or no. I don't. I just do muscle testing just with my methods, with just the fingers. So you say you do a whole, head to toe kind of assessment. What are you looking for?
I'm looking to see if the person can easily hold the position I put them in. So right now on the screen, you can see my head. So what if I want to test the upper trapezius muscles? I have them go like that, raise their shoulder, do that. And I say, can you stay there? If they can't, it's very easy to feel it feels mushy or it just completely lets go. Anterior neck flexors, there are many different aspects of these muscles, posterior ones. Can you hold if I gently push here? You can't hold when you turn your head. Then that means these muscles aren't working properly.
Mm-hmm.
And not only the ones that are flat out blown a fuse and are completely unlocked, but Muscle Tuners has come up with a really easy solution to find out the ones that are holding on for dear life. And those are the ones that are so tight. And those ones cause pain. But not only that, they send shock waves through the whole body.
Mm-hmm. And then so you get someone so you have a set of exercises or things that you ask people to do. Then you see what
Oh,
they.
no. I stay
Yeah.
away from the word exercise because people just like that's like a 4-letter word here in North America. I don't know about where you live. They are activities. So there are some activities, but literally in clinic, once we find a muscle imbalance, we can also touch a reflex point to say what will strengthen that. So let's say we're working with this muscle, the upper trapezius,
Mm-hmm.
and it unlocks. I can have them touch a reflex somewhere on the body. I'll say, touch these acupressure points or these neurolymphatic reflexes, or hold this neurovascular. There are different types: vascular, lymphatic, meridional, like acupuncture. There's all types of reflexes. And when they're touching this one or this one or this one, and then I say, try and hold now. And I go, how's that? And they're going, when are you going to start pushing? It's instant. So
Mm-hmm.
it's true biofeedback. And
Mm-hmm.
it shows the body, like, there are specific reflexes consistently mapped out that will strengthen specific muscles. But does your body want the one everybody else wants? Or does it want something customized for it? So the person's body will definitely identify what type of correction it wants, how long it wants it applied. And then when we let go of everything, and I say, okay, let's go back and check that. Is it easy to hold now? And they go, la, 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 la. Yep, that's fine. How's the pain on the other side? Oh, it went away. It's like, yes, because when this guy's doing its job, this guy doesn't have to try to do all the work. And sometimes it's the muscle on one side of the body compared to the same muscle on the other side. But sometimes, like, how many people get headaches, right? And it turns out that the muscles back here trying to hold the head up, they're really, really tight. And it sometimes can pinch, it is not the right word, but it can impede the blood flow going up to the brain. So now the brain's getting toxic. It's not getting enough oxygen. It's not getting enough nutrition from the blood supply. It's not carrying away carbon dioxide. You know, that's what some of the things the blood does. So if there's limited flow, yeah, you're going to have pain. So if these muscles are too tight, you can probably bet these guys are not carrying their share of the load. And nowadays, how many people are like this, right? It's called text neck. This hurts because these guys are trying to bring your 20-pound bowling ball of a head up again. So there are things we do in our day-to-day life we're not conscious is causing us an imbalance. I'm well aware that I like to sit sometimes with my leg tucked under me, you know, one leg on the floor and the other leg bent and a little bit like a half lotus kind of yoga thing. I'm just comfortable that way. My chiropractor just says, you know, it keeps putting your hips out. Stop doing that. So there's some little body postures that sometimes we do that causes this. Sometimes it's stress. And stress can be emotional stress. Stress can be nutritional. I've seen nutrition, poor nutrition or toxins switch muscles off. They're going, hey, as long as you're eating that food, I'm like not showing up to work today. And that's another conversation. Oh, you can have me talk for hours. So every muscle I test is connected to an organ. And you're going, how can this muscle be connected to the kidney? It's through the meridian pathways of the body. So I work with acupuncture meridians, and we activate these reflexes without needles. We can just use fingertip pressure. Somehow, this muscle is electrically connected through the meridian system that talks to the kidney. And so if this muscle isn't very happy, the theory is, according to the Chinese of thousands of years ago, is eventually the kidney is going to start giving you trouble. If another muscle, like this muscle, that does this range of motion with your arm moving up and away, if that one's in trouble, eventually, it's just a readout. It's a little canary in the gold mine saying, hey, you might have an issue with your liver. And we don't use it to diagnose. We call the muscle, I just basically say it's like a last name. Pectoralis major sternal, liver meridian. Liver's like the last name. There's a number of different muscles on the liver meridian or on the kidney meridian, et cetera, et cetera. And if a whole bunch of them are not happy, you might have problems with that organ. Digestion is a big one. Stomach, small intestine, large intestine. How chronic is that in today's society? So when you support muscles, you're supporting the inner organ. And I don't teach muscle testing. I do it in my clinic, but I don't teach it. How to identify foods that are not good for you. People can learn that with self-testing themselves before they eat anything. That's what my very first teacher did. She was never supposed to be able to get pregnant, which was the end of the world for her as an Italian woman. She always grew up thinking, I'm going to have a family. It's very, very important, the whole context of family for most Europeans, I understand, and a lot of North Americans. But for her, it was so important. And she learned about this system, and she started muscle testing everything before she put it in her mouth. And she stopped all the inflammation in her body. She had Crohn's type symptoms, and she was healthy enough to have a beautiful girl. And the doctors were surprised because they said, we don't recommend this. Is very, 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 very bad. She said, look, I've been really, really healthy for years now. I've rebuilt my strength. I haven't had a flare up for a very long time. I have this biofeedback about, what's bothering me in my food. And, because otherwise people go Crohn's. You can't eat wheat. You can't do this. You can't do that. But you know what? There's other things that cause inflammation too. So I just love biofeedback because it empowers people.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of things do you mostly work with? Is there a pattern, or is it really anything and everything that people are struggling with?
Everything and anything. I mostly get referrals, people who are in pain and it's not going away. So chronic pain. I also get some referrals for young adults. They're stressed out of their minds, right? And there's anxiety is rampant through the world. So we help them get their brain integrated. We get the stress hormones calmed down, things that cause them stress. We get that calmed down so that they can regain their health and move forward with more confidence in their life. That's just really, really important. And when it comes to chronic pain, I have a message for everybody. Like I was talking about, when you have pain in the back of your neck and the top of your shoulders, that's not where the problem is. I've seen people fix a shoulder issue by doing something for their foot over and over and over again. And they're going, you didn't touch my shoulder once in the session. And I'm going, I know, because your body's telling me the problems with muscles that attach under your foot. They're in your calf, maybe a hip muscle. And they're going, but you're not working with, and I'm going, we don't do that here. It's just, if you want, okay, here, I'll do a little something.
Yeah.
Now, how does it feel? And they're going, yeah. So that's a big, big message I want to get out to the world, that if you have a chronic condition, let's just say there are some therapists out there. There's some chiropractors. I love chiropractors that use applied kinesiology, muscle testing, because that helps them zone in on where the issue is. There are some chiropractors that aren't trained that way, and you come in with a specific area of your back that's always out of alignment. They keep cracking that area of your back, sending you out the door after they take your payment, and you come back every week or every couple of weeks, and the same problem keeps being there. If that is you need to go find somebody who'll go find a root cause. And it could be emotional, it could be nutritional, it could be physical. It could be an old injury over there, like, I'm sorry, the camera. It could be an old injury down there somewhere that's causing pain here. Or my personal experience, last year I had a pretty devastating injury, and my shoulder, they just said, give it time. And I'm going, hey, I got to get back to work. I got to be able to lift things. I want to be able to walk a dog, hold a baby, without dropping anything. And they're going, you just have to give it time. And I'm going, no, that doesn't work in my reality. And they're going, no, you just have to give it time. So I did muscle tuning for my shoulder, and it helped. There are little known muscles that you can tune. And I accidentally was working on a client saying, I want you to turn your wrist like this. And I'm muscle testing to see. And then I want you to do this with your, and I'm testing on their behalf. And I'm going, guess what? When you make that movement, I'm picking up it's stressful for you. And I'm going, hey, wait a minute, it's stressful for me. So I fixed this muscle and this muscle. And this improved 98% instantly. And there's book learning. And I know there's a chain. I know this. And then there's the actual life experience where I went, oh, I've really learned this now. So when people come in with chronic shoulder stuff, I don't just look here, and I don't just look at the feet. I look at the body holistically. And I remember these guys. I always check these guys now. That's what I mean about going to my clinic and doing practice, just like a doctor goes to a practice every day.
So you mentioned chronic pain. You mentioned anxiety, which of course we should really talk a little bit more about both. I guess the chronic pain, I work with people with chronic pain all the time, and sometimes people come and they really say, I've tried everything. But it's kind of, I don't know, just trying to kind of think, what are these people that are listening? What would they would ask? So you say, for example, you give the example of your shoulder days, 98% better in one go. Is that typical? Would people come to you and expect things to get better in one session, or is it likely to be more than one?
Let's be realistic. There is no one stop fix for everything for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. And I see people who have chronic issues, but we help their body manage it, because sometimes a chronic issue is coming from something we have no real big control over. Awarenesses are good. So if you realize that you blow a circuit breaker every time your ex calls you up on the phone to demand something, we can't control your ex just getting in a mood and calling you up. We can help you manage your state, because emotional state, it impacts the body. And when we unburden ourselves of stuck emotions in the body, which is something you do very, very well, you see that people, their set point, their tolerance, they can handle more junk, more stupidity than ever before they have a reaction. And that's so beneficial. I trained a physiotherapist in Arizona, and I cannot wait to put her YouTube link up on my channel, on my Facebook page and my LinkedIn. She's going, my husband had a devastating shoulder injury, total shoulder repair. He's been in a sling for 10 weeks. 1 week ago, the sling came off, and we were finally allowed to do a little bit of physiotherapy. Now, she's a physiotherapist. He's a physiotherapist. And she says, so we've already done some muscle tuning last week, and I worked with all the shoulder muscles of the shoulder girdle. And then going, yeah, because I know your husband probably wasn't ready for you to do all the muscles I teach from head to toe, because if he fell off his bike and racked his shoulder, he's done something to his hip or his knee or an ankle or something.
Yeah.
So they got it. They were very happy. He's going, okay. She did 10 minutes of muscle tuning with something else she does. She's trained in brain integration, just to help open circuits. Did a tiny bit of emotional processing. She recorded it and put it on fast forward. And then she says, are you ready? And he says, okay. She says, lift your arm. And he's going. And you could see him expecting it's going to get hard here. And he kept going. Mm. So she said she was stinking happy, I think is the words she used at the end of her video. And his face was like amazed. Yeah. So now you can actually do physiotherapy and retrain the muscles and the groups and stuff like that, because we've got the energy flowing. So frequently we get, almost 100% of the time, we get some measurable results. It might not be 98% improvement. And the cool thing is most people show up, they've been disappointed so many times. They go, if I can get that much more range of motion, just a couple more inches, I'll be happy, because that means I can put a plate up on the shelf. That's all I need. And when we can get their arm to go that high, that's great. Maybe we have to help on a little bit in the other dimensions. But it's just about physical function. And we look at the body from head to toe. And sometimes we're not allowed to work on the shoulder and really resolve that issue until we find and fix a couple other things and get them to stay.
And when you say we're not allowed, then?
The body says, don't work there. It's not the priority. I know it's a priority for the person. Say, I want to be able to lift my arm.
Yeah.
I see this many, many times. And I had one woman so disappointed. One of my very earliest people, she was so disappointed I wouldn't do this one technique she'd heard about and that I was trained in. And I said, your body is saying it's a waste of time. So I also do a form of brain integration. And she'd had a big, big shock and a bit of a trauma. And she goes, I want you. I know this works. I've been to other people and I want you because I met you in a workshop. And I'm going, we got to do something else. And let's face it, if your body is out of alignment, everything you try to do to get the brain firing, it's going to keep going offline. Because if you're walking around in the world kind of cockeyed, your brain can't function right. And she went, "Argh." So it says, we'll do a little bit of brain integration work at the end, I promise. But your body's telling me we have to do a structural alignment. And partway through, she goes, oh. And I went, what? She says, I feel energy flowing in my, like around my brain. And she's basically describing cerebral spinal fluid. She's a very sensitive person. Like, who could feel that? She felt it because she hadn't felt it in forever. Mm. And she got it. She went, oh, okay, I get it. So now I did a little bit of brain integration, and her session with me stuck longer than when she'd gone to somebody else who had just listened and said, oh, you want brain integration work? Let me do brain integration work. Mm. I don't think that's serving the client. If you have other tools, ask the body, and it can be something really simple.
So I want to ask, I have two questions actually based on some of my clients. So first one, I want to know about people coming with tremors or, something like dystonia or Parkinson's or something like that. How would you treat them, or how would you work with them?
Okay, so I don't work with named diagnosed conditions because I'm not allowed. I'm not a doctor. Energetically,
if they come to you and they say, okay, this is what I've been diagnosed with, you don't mind about the diagnosis is not important. I get that.
No.
But we're talking about the symptoms, right?
No. So I say, so what do you want if you don't have this tremor anymore? What would be different in your life? And I work to enhance their body circuits so that they get what they desired. But that is really challenging. That's deep brainstem issues. There are nuclei in the brainstem that are not firing for some reason, or the body's just shut them off, or there could be autoimmune issues going on. There could be all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. So way beyond the scope of muscle tuning, which I teach, or some of the other programs I teach. But that's how I would approach it, is literally ask the body with an anatomy textbook and say, how's this? How's this? How's this? How's this? Is this there's an imbalance here. Is this a priority? No. This is a problem. Is this a priority? And do anything that we could do to support that area. So at least it gets nourished, it gets energy, and hopefully doesn't get worse. Now, conditions like that, obviously, that takes some discipline and commitment. It takes some belief. And all we can do is say, it looks like energetically this part's happy today, and next week they come back and might not be happy. We might have to say, okay, let's do it again. And now we're allowed to do this piece too. Oh, and this piece too. And now when we get these three pieces organized, then when we check in again later, it's more stable. And then we're allowed to work with other parts of it. So it's, people talk about the layers of the onion, and it's a nice analogy. And it's true. There are layers. And often when an issue keeps coming back, and I'll take this back to the physical body, when an issue keeps coming back, it's because you're using one muscle that's acting like a bully. And every time you move, for example, this arm picks up a sack of potatoes and lifts it to put it on the counter. Something in this action is switching off something somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And one of that, either one of these muscles or the other area, and usually it's the other area, that's the one that's going, ouch. And you can go for massage, you can go for acupuncture, you can go for chiropractic, you can go, and some therapists are really good and will get at that. But if you don't recognize that there is this neurological firing, that the wires got tangled, that every time you do this, this guy goes, eek. If you don't break that communication pathway, so that this one goes, I'm this muscle today, and the other guy goes, yeah, I'm showing up for work and I'm behaving like this muscle today. If you don't find and fix those, chronic patterns will stay.
Mm. It's very interesting. Sometimes it doesn't happen very often, but every, I guess, 1 person out of 10 that I work with would come and we do a lot of clearing, and then at the end of it, not at the end of it immediately, because we always have to wait a few days for them to notice the changes. But then there was didn't it didn't I didn't notice anything. It didn't walk, or still feeling the same. Usually, of course, I know that this means that their subconscious mind is not ready to release whatever the symptoms or pain or whatever it is that they're going through. But how do you deal with that? Do you notice that straight away in the session, or is it something that is another layer of the onion for you?
It is definitely one of the approaches we ask. Definitely. I don't always remember to do it, but I remember to do it when somebody comes back and says, "Oh, I felt great for a few days and then it came back." So one of the approaches I'm trained in is to seek out what's called sabotage programs or psychological reversals. And then we go and we figure out what emotions are connected to that and who wants to be released, because it's trapped in a meridian or a muscle. Mm-hmm. So we release it there, and that helps. Also in muscle tuners, often people will say, "I want to get over this issue. I want to be prepared for an interview. I want this, I want that." And we muscle test, and it looks like, yeah, you're fine. What we do in muscle tuners is we don't always believe the muscle test.
Right.
It's like showing up at the supermarket and you go, "Hi, I haven't seen you in forever. How's things going?" And your friend goes, "Oh, great." And you go, "Oh, yeah, last time I was talking to you, there was this big going on." And they went, "Oh, yeah, don't talk to me about that. But you just said you're great." "Oh, yeah, but not about that." And so we hide things often, our public persona or what we feel safe in revealing. And in muscle tuners, if you are safe, but you're just shy, we have ways of asking, "Is this really, truly okay?" And then we have a diffusion technique that is electrically, meridian based, emotionally based, to release it. And it's something we've developed. And it could be situations in the present that are holding you, the pattern. It could be a situation from the past that is holding the pattern. Sometimes you have to release one before the other. And I've had people go, "You always have to release the past before you can do the present." And I'm going, "Really? How about you muscle test on that?" Because sometimes you have to clear the current level of stress before it lets you get to that root of the dandelion, get that weed out of there. Sometimes you can't go for the root right away. Mm-hmm. Until the body has like, "Oh, look at that. It feels better now in the present." So we do work with past and present and a little bit future, and you have to ask, each person is so unique. And that's how I approach that. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you have. There's sometimes people come to you and say, "Oh, because there's a lot of people, right? It's becoming more and more common, I guess, to hear people talking about ancestral trauma and stuff like that. Do you get some of that?"
Oh, yeah. In another system I'm trained in and which I teach, we work with genealogical stress. And it's really fascinating that, and when we get into that, it's an emotional correction. It's always an emotional correction. And it's, part of your issue today, it's like you got the color of your eyes, color of your hair from your parents, your grandparents, your great-great-grandparents. Sometimes emotional issues from one of your forebears is impacting you because it got encoded in the DNA. And it was nobody intended to put fear or anxiety or anger or something in your genes. They didn't mean to do that. But let's face it, in those days, a couple generations back, there was a lot of war. Well, there still is. So people who are living through war now and having children, some of that stress is encoded in them. And I was a very, very young girl, and I remember being terrified of atomic bombs and all kinds of horrible war stuff. And I told somebody, I says, "I think it must have been the Cuban Missile Crisis or something." And she goes, "You weren't even born yet." And I'm going, Oh, yeah. I Googled it and I went, oh, you're right. But my mother was pregnant with me. And so that got involved in me. And I see that sometimes happens. I've witnessed amazing shifts when the issue is in utero.
Mm.
So I'm trained in doing that as well. And man, people are struggling in the present tense when the issue isn't here at all. It's just like a physical thing. This hurts. You got to fix this. This hurts. You have to maybe look up in your genes, or you have to look in utero. You know, it's amazing the research that's coming out in the energy field and how it's providing relief for people. And that's why people like you doing the emotion code and body code, it's brilliant. I had that experience a couple years back, and I could not believe the shifts I was feeling in my body, having somebody else work at a distance with me.
Yeah.
We were just on the phone. It was amazing.
Yeah. It is, I agree, it's a very profound method. And yes, I really believe in that, and I really enjoy seeing the results that people get. I want to go back to anxiety for a little bit, because I know that there's so many people suffering from anxiety. You said young adults, adults, old adults. It's kind of everywhere these days. What are some things that you might be able to help people with anxiety? How do you help them shift that or change that or think about things in a different way?
Sure. I'm always about giving a gift. And this is a really big one. There's 3 parts to it. The first part, you're feeling some anxiety. Hold your forehead very, very lightly. You have acupressure points there that are literally emotional stress release valves. So much like if you were going to blow into a pool toy and you have to pinch that valve a little bit, but when you let go, the valve is closed, or if you pinch too hard, the valve is closed. So you have to just touch it just right. So these points here in your forehead, just above the colored part of your eye, right in the mid part of your forehead, you can touch those very lightly and consider anything that's stressing you out. See what you see if you're visual, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, have thoughts about it. If there's tastes or sensations of smell, you run it through. And if you can't do any of that, just talk it out. This stresses me out every time I have to make this phone call and blah, blah, blah. Whatever your processing style, try to bring in as much as you can. If you can bring in the visual, if you can bring in the auditory, if you can bring in the kinesthetic, where in your body do you feel that or the whatever. Just think about that. And the pressure of that comes out there. Cannot tell you how many people have said, such a simple technique. I can't believe it works. And I'm going, it does. Because when you know where the right buttons are and you know how to activate the buttons, and you know the little secret ingredient is really be thorough and think of all the different aspects about that, then it really works. Now, there's another one where you hold your forehead and the back of your head. And you do the same thing. Just you might want to close your eyes and say, okay, this is stressing me out. This is what I see, hear, feel, think, smell, taste when I'm considering that stress. And now you're activating more of the brain. And that is sometimes a really awesome way to go. And then there are tapping techniques. So there is right over the kidney, there's an acupuncture point that responds to the kidney. And I will just show you how to find it. You put your hands on your rib cage like so. And where you feel, there's a little bit of bone. So on the skeleton, you see how they're 2 floating bones? They're called floaters. They don't come all the way and attach in the front. So what you want to do
is find the bottom, just to the side of that little tip of bone. So when you put your fingers around back here and you go, oh, there's something hard there, you got it. So what you want to do is you want to tap there.
Mm-hmm.
And you want, so just generally in that area, use a couple of fingers. And if you can't reach it yourself, get a friend to help you. If one side doesn't work, you can reach over and do one side at a time and then reach over and do the other side. And tapping on a meridian is very helpful for releasing electrical energy in that meridian, especially if you do the trick of, this is making me feel really fearful and anxious. And the reason I'm getting you to tap the kidney meridian alarm point is because the kidney is traditionally recognized in Chinese medicine as being the organ that stores unresolved fear, anxiety, dread, terror, and panic. So that's a little energetic trick I can share with you. Try a little bit of all of the, depending, like, so measure how anxious you feel and then do something, measure how, okay, so you did this one, you still feel anxious, then do this one, you still feel anxious, do this one. Or start with the tapping behind there and go, that feels better. And if it feels better but not gone, do more. Or do this one, or, you know. So those are 3 really key areas that I'm really happy to share with your audience.
Thank you. I think people appreciate that. It's anxiety seems like it's always there actually for people that anyone that I speak with, anxiety comes up.
I will add one more piece, this very, very powerful piece. If the anxiety wasn't there, so now you tap and the anxiety isn't there anymore, what would your life be like? And maybe tap or hold this for absolute sure you want to do that. And it's like programming yourself for success. I've seen competitive athletes and performers, musical performers, they envision perfect performance. They're not moving a muscle. They're just, say, holding here, and they're envisioning winning the competition. That turbo boosts, because it's not just about clearing the stress, because then any old thing can jump back into the vacuum you've just left. So fill it up with something you want.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Well, it's nearly time for us to finish for today, but I know for sure that you have something that you want to share with people. Please let us know what it is.
Yes. So I am launching, it's all ready to go. The date's not quite set. It's basically called Do It Yourself Muscle Tuning. I'm not sure of the name yet, but if my approach is something you want to learn to do anywhere in the world, it will be on Zoom. So reach out. My email address is denise@muscletuners.fit. It'll be in the show notes. Let me know that you want to be added to the wait list and I will contact you. And it's going to be 5 weeks. I know for a fact it's 5 weeks. Supportive, interesting techniques, measurable changes will be happening and showing you how to put it all together at the end. And people, I know for a fact, people who have gone through these techniques with chronic pain, like fibromyalgia and different things, have found a lot of relief with 1 or 2 or 3 of, I think I'm going to share 12 different things over the 5 weeks. And consistently people have said, wow, this is my very, very favorite one. So Do It Yourself Muscle Tuning. When I hear you contact me for that, I'll put you on the wait list. I'll reach out and have a conversation. And if there's any professional people wanting to learn this thing called muscle tuning and how it helps people, not only in the physical body, but the emotional body, we do that too without any fuss or muss. And that's my system called Muscle Tuning. And you reach me at the same email address.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Denise, for everything that you shared with us. And I, like you mentioned, all of your information will be in the show notes. It's been really interesting, and I really like your approach, and I really like that. There's really, people can come and find some relief, and I know that for so many people they just dream about that, and they say, when I have even a little bit of that, I'll be happy. And so it sounds like this is something that you can definitely help them with.
Yeah, I'll never retire. I'm having too much fun.
That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Denise. And for anyone else watching, listening, I hope that you've taken something away from this, and I hope that this is an idea that supports how to heal yourself naturally in a way that is fun, in a way that makes you try new things. Any questions, anything that you want to share, please do reach out to me, to Denise, and we'll be happy to have a conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Inav.